Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm joined by Glenn and Iman from Magic Mythical Game, and we're going to be talking about the Kickstarter Guardians of Fire. So it's great to have the pair of yous here on the channel.
Hiya.
Hi everyone.
So I suppose the first thing we should delve into is Guardians of Fire is not your typical dungeon crawler. Do you want to tell us a bit about the genesis of the game itself and where it sort of developed from?
At the first, it was a comics. It is a trilogy comics, and we decided to make a game based on that comics. So it's something mixed between fantasy, history, and mythic. Mythology, the pure Persian mythology. So everything in there is completely Persian. It's the first time the Kickstarter, you can see the game based on the Persian mythology.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that drew me to the overall look and the aesthetic of the game originally, was the fact that it's not a Western Europe-centric mythology. We see an awful lot of games based around Norse, an awful lot of games based around Norse mythology, or the ones that we'd be more familiar with here. And the sort of the rich well of history and mythology from the Near East is often overlooked for essentially retelling or rehashing those tried and somewhat tired tropes of just constantly seeing Odin and Thor battering each other on the tabletop. So was it important to you to do something, I suppose, close to home?
What can I say to you? Because I play a lot of board games, and as you say, I really tired of the same type of the games, the zombie, paladin, knights, elf, goblin. So the mechanism is completely different. New story. The game has a master, the dark side master. So we can say it's a cooperative game, one against many people. But many backers ask us if we are going to have a solo mode game, and we'll start working on it. So we have two options. The gamers have two options: solo mode and cooperative game. So you can play as a Guardian of Fire, is Order, or you can be Ambassador of Darkness. So, or you just play solo mode just as the Guardian of Fire.
That'll be interesting to see the solo mode. Obviously, I've played through it with Shay and Justin, and we played the sort of the standard one against many, and it was interesting, both the look of it, but also the gameplay, where you had those mechanics, the temptation to keep drawing actions or activations from the bag, but then you could power up the darkness player ahead of you. Adding a solo mode into that.
In the solo mode, the solo mode is going to be a little bit massacre. You need to destroy any type of demons, not demons, devils, and move through the dungeon to finish your task. So it's a little bit different from the cooperative mode. But as you see, the mechanism is, as you told about the temptation, so everything is random. So even the Guardians of Fire, the representatives of the light, they can do mistakes. So try to move out the probes. So as you see, they completely different type of a game.
Yeah.
And the story, the most important for us to have it nice. Not just the same type of story. So you just search for items to find out where they can find that which part of math.
Yeah, I think there's a real, really good sense of a balance between risk management versus resource management in this game. As you said with your playthrough, there's a real temptation of having the heroes plow forwards and try and complete the game as quickly as possible. But every time they do that, they're risking making the darkness player more and more powerful, and it can all go wrong in those final steps as the darkness player has more tricks up his sleeve. I
see you've also really driven into the story side of things. The core box is listed as sort of 150 hours of gameplay, but it's all narrative. There's no procedurally generated dungeons. It's all part of a bigger story. Does that expand from the comics that you initially wrote, or is this a sort of a within the same universe but a new story?
It's not completely from the comics, but it's from the second chapter of the comics, when the main hero just moved back to 1,400 years ago, when Persia was a completely different empire. So he saw what happened to that hero, the Hormozan. So in the game, when you finish the core game, you continue to go to the third chapter of the comics, when they fight in the Temple of Yazd, where the Akvan and Saul came out from the portal. So I don't want to say to spoil the game.
You'll spoil the comics as well if people want to read those. That's always a problem when you have something that is tied to a piece of existing literature or property. But yeah, without getting too bogged down in the details of the storyline, the I want to call them monks, but priests, I suppose, is the better term for them. The priests are dealing with this constant,
the warrior priest.
a constant assailing of the darkness as attempts to override the light. But you've also got a few expansions lined up for the Kickstarter as well, which push the story on further, but also move it around in time as well. Do you want to tell us a bit about those?
We have the story in design. The expansion is called Temple, the Holy Order, when the player can play as a Knight Templar. The Michael, his order came to design, and they find out that something happened there. And one of his members just disappeared. And he gathered his brotherhood to find out. And when the first time they met the Devas, they used the Christian exorcist, but it doesn't work because this is completely different demons. So they want to find out what's going on there. So it's a completely another story. We also have one small expansion set. It's called Sister of Silence, when you can play as a female assassin. It was the order where they found again tyranny and witches. So you have a new story also. It's similar to the core box, but with a different story. And City of Dam, it's about a hero, the commander of the city, when he came back from the war and find out if something happened to his city, and he gathered his soldiers to see what's going on in their city, because the people just disappeared. He's going to fight against the werewolf. So a lot of different story, different line. It's going to be. I believe that's going to be good.
It certainly sounds fascinating. I liked when, because I've read the first book of the comic, and I was a fan of the, I suppose, appearance of the Templars, both attempting to fight the same darkness, but coming at it from two different directions, I suppose. So it's nice to see them coming back.
But this Templar is a little bit different from the comics. They move to Holy Land and they stay in the Byzantine, and they find out about the Deva. So I don't want to talk about the whole story, but at the end they find out something very strange to them. So
I've seen
the size of miniature. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say I've seen the names for the Templars on the page, and they have ringing connotations. I'm just wondering if that will develop into anything else. The fact that they're named Raphael and Michael and Uriel. And, I mean, those. So some people may not be familiar with those names, but I certainly am. It's Catholic upbringing, I suppose. So it'd be fascinating to see where they go, because there is a warrior of light who has a very angelic visage, I suppose you would say, with the massive sword and the feathery wings.
Because everybody I told about that, everything in the game is a Persian. I said, okay, we are going to design something completely European. So we took everything from the Latin, so the prayers and everything from the Latin, they completely European. So just to make sure that everybody happy. If someone say, okay, that's a Persian word, everything from the Persia. Say, okay, we have something for you. And we have one stretch goal. It's the first time it's a female grandmaster. So as you know, the Templar, it was a brotherhood order. So they didn't have any female. So this is something new in the Templar order. So you can play as a grandmaster, the female grandmaster Ariel. So that's going to be fantastic.
With the actual game itself, then, so I've seen the prototype resins, which are absolutely gorgeous, and the level of detail on them is something to die for. When you come to production, I assume it's not staying as resin.
We are going to use plastic PVC, but because we are going to work with very, very good Chinese factory, the quality is going to be the same with a high detail. So the size and everything is going to be same as the resin you got. If you check the corbos, the most miniature are 50 millimeters. So they are huge, big monsters. It's not very small, zombie or I don't know, the skeleton. So it's going to be a huge box with a huge miniatures.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things I really liked about it, especially because I'm a bit fumble-fingered sometimes, and when I'm trying to maneuver 3 or 4 miniatures down a very small board or get many people into the one part of a tile, and then I just end up knocking everything flying. So it's nice to see something big and chunky.
I was just going to say, if you're anything like me and my gaming group, those big resin miniatures might not be as durable as...
No, there we are. Plastic's probably the way to go there. What would be the sort of standout piece for you that you're really looking forward to seeing brought onto the tabletop and for people to get their hands on?
What can I say? Maybe, Glenn, can you say, what do you think about?
Well, for me, I'm as impressive as all the big miniatures are. I'm really keen to get on the board the things like the ghouls and the Sisters of Sin, who've got that. They really got that sort of Persian aesthetic. I think we've seen ghouls with a lot of like sort of taken from more Western fantasy imagery. They've kind of got that high Gothic or Tolkien style flair to them. I think it's really good to see things with that sort of reinforce the theme of the game. And I think that especially like the shadows, the Sisters of Sin, the ghouls that are kind of primary sort of minions you're going to fight in hordes. They've all got a very nice flow about them. They're quite dynamic poses, and they're just really, really awesome. And then you can see the Chosen of Akban there are just really big and bulky, and they look like they mean business. So, I mean, I'm always going to back the bad guys because they always look cool. But
I had an awful lot of fun painting them up.
Yeah, but the warrior priests look great as well, and they each have their own personality as well. I think you see from the artwork, if you're a painter as well, you're really going to enjoy really customizing those. And paint them up to match the artwork as well, and really giving them their own flair.
Okay, we have as you see, we have in the game. If someone get the corbos, they have the dynamic warrior priest. Also, we have in the stretch goal, we're going to a static warrior priest, so they can use which one they want. So we can use the dynamic or static, so it's as a bonus to them. If we have only for this campaign, we are going to release the warrior priest. It's the same class as Babak, so he's a summoner. He can call for Fire Lion. He's a very tough guy. So everyone just made this project during the Kickstarter campaign. They get it free of charge.
Well, that's very nice. The Fire Lion, I imagine he takes a similar view to things as the Phoenix does when he's on the table. Then it's
yeah.
It's like a missile you can launch at whatever cultists happen to be in front of you and make them go away.
The only thing different between Mardan and Babak that she cannot be a lion.
Oh, well.
Because as you remember, the Babak can transform to the great Phoenix, as you see, but the Mardan can just summon the Fire Lion to support him in the battle. So it's going to be like a tank, like a paladin in the similar game.
It's interesting, different. I whenever I seen the Fire Lion, I imagined he would be another very offensive thing, like the Phoenix. But yeah, having a bit more of a tank on the table could be interesting. Well, is there anything else you want to let people know about before we move on?
We're really happy to see everybody in our project. We have a lot of plan. We are new company, but we have a lot of plan for next project. So we're really happy to see everybody to support us in that project.
Okay, fantastic stuff. If you're interested, folks, you can go and check out the Kickstarter, which will probably be live by the time you see this. You can also go back and have a look at that Let's Play that Shay, Justin, and myself played if you want an idea of how the game plays out. And you can even download the rulebook off that Kickstarter page if you fancy flicking through it yourself and then correcting what we got wrong in the Let's Play. Feel free. Everybody else does. We're going to move on, but good luck with your Kickstarter, gentlemen, and hopefully we'll be seeing you across the tabletop in the not too distant future.
Thank you.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.